What's your name? Who's your daddy?
Welcome to Logjam, the official podcast of the League of Gentlemen. I'm Tom Bruyere. This is Darren Adams.
Hey, welcome in. Good to see you again. Week 3 matchups, just like they have been so far this year. High-scoring events, a couple good games, couple not so close, but for the most part, again, really, really enjoyable week.
In the league, it absolutely was. We end the week with 7 2-1 teams, one of which is not in the playoffs. A real log jam, if you will, right there at the top of the league. Everyone's tied. It's all point differential at this point. So you're going to feel like we're reaching that parity point that there might be 8 teams vying for those 6 playoff spots.
I would say that's about right. I would say there's probably, at this point, we're looking at about 8 teams, all at, striking range 2-1. Everybody's in first place for the most part, except for points. And then there's those 2 teams at the bottom, which are Hoop.
And even the Young and Confused sitting there in 8th place has a point differential made up on everybody but the top 3 teams. He's 4th most in points. So a win out of Young and Confused next week vaults him into a playoff spot very likely. So I think you'll see a lot of up and down there and depending on who's winning and who's losing.
Yeah, Young and Confused just scored a ton of points. Speaking of him, he scored a ton of points. He just ran into some wrong matchups as far as who you play and how that works out. So
and there goes fantasy football in a league where we thought the Pimps were going to run away with it. They get stopped by Ari this week, and so really I think exciting things to look forward to in the League of Gentlemen. The rest of this episode, we are going to welcome Tom Farrell in. We're going to get a visit from Who's Your Daddy Management. That'll be a good time for us. But before that happens, I think we have a quick segment that we like to call
Ari's Cats.
Yeah, here at the Log Jam, we're primarily focused on the League of Gentlemen and how the NFL games and how the season is progressing. But every once in a while, we like to diverge. We like to, as Cardinal fans, we shot a segment earlier today about David Johnson not being on the field at 3rd and 2nd. Something that all Cardinal fans are a little bit hazy on. A couple of the Wilkes decisions so far that seem crazy. But we're not going to be able to air that this year. Instead, we're going to take a segment that we like to call What the Fuck.
What the fuck?
And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on?
Really, this is the crazy world of what the fuck. We like to talk about some crazy stuff that happened. There were some bad calls this week, of course. As always, you can't touch the quarterback. Even you saw that on Monday night. There was so many personal fouls. And anyway, tonight we're not going to talk about any of that. We're going to talk about what the fuck in the League of Gentlemen trade. Now, for those of you who were aware, because this guy wasn't, and that's my bad, but for those of you who were aware, and let Aaron Rodgers, I get a good keeper status. Guy's got one fucking leg, okay? For those of you who allowed Aaron Rodgers to go to the fucking Hammers for a first,
A second,
a
6th,
and Travis fucking Kelce? Oh, wait a minute. What do you throw in?
Jared Cook.
Jared fucking Cook?
So far, this year's league tight end number 1 at the end of week 3.
So far, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he got a great game. We know who Ryan Fitzpatrick is. We know who these guys are. We know how it evolves and how it goes. Jared Cook is not even in the ballpark of Travis Kelce. So let's just start there with the examination of what the fuck, right? Tight end for tight end. Ari gets back. Jared Cook gives up Travis Kelce, finally ridding himself of all Kansas City Chiefs' highest scoring offense possibly in the league. Gets rid of all of those offensive weapons to take on the Raiders tight end. Fuck yeah. You gotta be shitting me, bro. You get back a one-legged quarterback. He ain't a fucking pirate. He's a quarterback behind a shitty line. I'm obviously a little aggressive here because I should have countered this trade. I should have sent something and let him keep at least the fucking draft picks. You said draft picks? You were already bent over the fucking urinal. And then why not? Let's send him a first. You know what? Maybe that won't be good enough for Joel. I mean, Jared Cook. And we're talking about Jared Cook. Let's send a second. Let's sweeten the deal. Pop in a 6th. This is the worst trade in the history. Like, when rape trades were rape trades, This was the king of rape trades. How this got by in the League of Gentlemen, where there's the counter trade, I have no idea. Other than I was at a shitty Cardinal football game where we was and missed this fucking 75 text thread message. I missed it. We recorded some shit earlier, and we had to delete it because I was unaware of this trade. Now that I am aware of this trade, I'm sorry. Worst trade in the history. Good for you, Joel. Good for you. On the come up. Hammers. Dude, what the fuck?
And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I scream from the top of my lungs, what's going on?
Hey guys, week 3 matchups. We had some great ones. The first one we're going to cover is going to be the Zorros against the Avengers. This didn't turn out to be a great matchup as the Avengers really ran away with this one. 173, which was the league high of the week, earned Tom some cash, and Joel put up a pedestrian. I think it's
pedestrian.
a handicap, 84, or now that we're rounding up. So Joel, things just didn't go well for you. They went well for Tom this week. I don't know who you could have played to keep up with 173 to throw that out there as well, but it definitely wasn't anybody you did play.
Yeah, it felt early in the week. I didn't know when I went to a show Thursday night. So when I left here, I had a choice between the Jets and the Browns, and the Browns had 6 points, and the Jets had 25 at halftime of that game. And so when I got out of the show and saw Hyde get up to 24, saw 13 out of the Browns, I felt like we were in pretty good shape. And then we started pouring it on after that. It felt good. Got a nice one out of Breeze. Monday night, you get those extra points out of Evans, a little icing on the cake. It was a good score.
Yeah, all your studs put up numbers, except Stefon Diggs. Again, kind of, I don't know, just maybe it was a matchup thing, but
huge surprise.
It's interesting to me that of all your studs that put up numbers, that matchup came down to some Cleveland Brown decisions, which looking forward could be awesome and strengthen the Avengers. But the Browns' defensive play I thought was great, good moving forward, having them on your team. The Carlos Hyde, I think it's a great play. It's just kind of weird that with guys like Ezekiel and Noah Le'Veon, but eventually, and Drew Brees, and that it came down to.
Maybe I was a little shell shocked from week 1 and week 2 where I got -1 total points out of my kicker, and I think -13 one week and 4 the other week out of my defense. It was good for me on the bottom end of my roster there to get some points. But on the other side of the coin, it felt like Joe was going to try to do something. He had Aaron Rodgers in there, and then you ended up with 6 points out of your running backs, and not going to win you a lot of games.
Aaron Rodgers puts up his traditional or solid 24, and then other than that running back position really did hurt Joel. Kenyon Drake, Peyton Barber, just week to week, maybe they have these flash games, but overall, I don't know if that's the running back field that you want every week. Maybe he makes a move there, tries to pick up some guys, tries to make a trade. Speaking of trades,
we saw what looked to be a white flag move from Joel on Sunday morning.
Joel, I love this trade for you. I will say, I love that you traded me Brady and that you traded me Gronk. Which has worked out now apparently for both of us because you acquired Travis Kelce and a first and second round pick for Jared Cook and one-leg Aaron Rodgers with no. I don't know how you pulled this off, the hypnos, whatever that's called, but congratulations! What a great trade. Let the truth be told on the podcast. I just told Tom And bad on me, I didn't see this trade go through. I was at the Cardinals game watching that debacle. There were 75 fucking messages from you people, and I missed this one. It's on me, bad on me. Ari, I would have given you much more. I'm sorry I missed it, but congratulations, Joel. What a hell of a trade.
It was a big week 3 trade for sure, and we'll see. I mean, who knows? The Zorros might have upgraded a tight end, and maybe they find a quarterback on the waiver wire. Otherwise, they might be facing a potential fine every week of not scoring the threshold points because it doesn't look like there's much on that roster to look forward to.
Well, at this point, the acquisition of Travis Kelce alone could, pretty much almost double your points. So, and then moving forward, the first and second round, what a great trade. So, again, Zorros couldn't compete this week. I don't know anybody could with Tom. It's just one of those things. But congratulations, Tom. High points, get some cash.
And that gets us to the matchup of the Sin and the Titans. Could have been a relatively close game. Titans come in undefeated. Sin had a big win last week over the Avengers, and they keep it rolling in a game that comes down to Matt Ryan, former Titan, puts up a 53-burger.
It's a great decision by Corey. He's got Andrew Luck on his bench. He sees him playing the Philly defense. Maybe they don't have enough offensive weapons. He decides to go with Matt Ryan against New Orleans, which we all know that game's always 48, 42, 59, 64, whatever. So he goes with Matt Ryan, but a great choice. It really won him this week.
Gets into that 147 sweet spot right at 150 that, like we talk about, it is going to win you a lot of weeks. Christian McCaffrey, someone that he's had for 2 years now, starting to blossom. This time, maybe a little bit different formula. Gets a lot of carries on the ground. He's in there the entire time. The rest of the Sin don't really come to play. You got to have a lot of people at 10. AJ Green at 10. You get Jimmy Graham at 9. T.Y. Hilton at 10. Not a ton of performance, but that 53 was enough to get him there.
It was a third of his point total out of one position. So that's huge. I would take that every week. Billy, on the other hand, 122 is gonna put you in some games, but it's kind of that breaking point. At that 130, 145, 140, 135 range, you're expecting to kind of win, be in the game, but at 122, you're leaving yourself vulnerable. I think this is one of those weeks where Billy made a play with Alex Smith instead of Phillip Rivers.
First time he breaks out of that Chargers trio.
First time, which it worked out for him.
I mean, it was a swap there. They both scored right around 21. The thing, he picked the wrong Charger. It's Keenan Allen that has the bad day this week.
Keenan Allen didn't get the ball. The Chargers' offense was somewhat bottled up by a really tough Rams defense. So this is maybe the worst week for Billy as far as matchups because of how many Chargers he has. They went against the Rams, whether it's Keenan Allen at receiver, whether it's the Rams defense has everything covered. So moving forward, I think that trio is still going to be very effective for the Titans.
Yeah, I think they'll bounce back. We think the Titans are going to be in it. They're right up there in points scored. Like we said, everyone's there at 2-1. With this win, the Sin sits in the 6th spot at the end of the week, and they look like they've got a good shot at being a playoff team this year.
I would say watch out for either one of these two teams because they're right in the mix. They both have enough weapons that they could get really dangerous come playoff time.
Absolutely.
I'm here to recap the Who's Your Daddy and Young and Confused battle in Week 3 of the League of Gentlemen. And first of all, I'd like to say I've never been a proponent of beating your kids, except when it comes to fantasy football, of course. Although I've never really experienced that because I have never gotten a win against Andrew in the League of Gentlemen until today. Was able to take him down by about 5 points. It was an evenly contested match throughout the whole weekend. Our quarterbacks were within a couple of points of each other. Our David Johnson, even though apparently he's not good enough to be on the field on 3rd and 2, still managed to squeak out 16 points, as did Kareem Hunt for Andrew did. I got a 10-point bump from Saquon Barkley over Tevin Coleman. Saquon's been great for me so far this year. He's gotten over 20 points all 3 weeks so far. So even though I've gotten a lot of criticism for trading Todd Gurley so that I could draft Saquon and pick up another first-round draft pick, so far so good with Saquon. I like what I see. 2 weeks ago he had 14 catches. This week he did it all on the ground, 82 yards and a touchdown. Michael Thomas continues to be just an absolute beast for me with another 10 catches for 129 yards. Didn't get much out of Larry Fitzgerald or Chris Thompson, which was a last-minute substitution that I put in. I wanted to mix up the lineup, and I substituted Chris Thompson for Demaryius Thomas, and that cost me about 10 points. But Andrew had some other plays he could have made on his team too, not starting Will Fuller. Turned out to be a big mistake for him. It went down to Monday Night Football. Juju Smith for Andrew. Had a chance to put him over the top. The last catch with a little over 2 minutes to go in the game that Smith-Schuster had. he got caught, and even though that put him over the 100-yard mark and got him the bonus, it wasn't enough, and Daddy prevailed.
In another Week 3 matchup, the Fury took on Pooh Bag on Fire. The Fury came out winners again. Congratulations, Chris. 128-110. So pretty decent, variable there as far as the win column for Chris. He's 2-1 now. I wouldn't have guessed that to start the year. His team's starting to really form out.
I believe we're on tape as recording Bittermite not getting a win this year, and we're eating a little bit of crow already. The Patrick Mahomes, who's on his bench in Week 1, has been just absolutely fantastic, carrying him to victory. He was facing some Joe Mixon injuries that didn't get a lot of production out of running back, but was enough to get to that 128 win with a 120 score for the second week in a row. Maybe he's going to be someone to be heard of this year.
Well, I think that's something none of us really thought out of the draft. But Chris, congratulations! That Patrick Mahomes, like Tom said, that Patrick Mahomes pick alone is going to put you in every week into the discussion.
He's going to have a shot. He's going to have some questions at receiver. He's got a lot of middle range guys that with Woods going off and Tyler Boyd going off. Like, who's he start? Who's he not start? Could have some boom or bust weeks that are going to keep him in that 115, 120, 125 range, and sometimes that'll be enough, sometimes it won't.
Yeah.
We'll see where that gets him over the year.
Well, speaking of decisions to be made, Pooh Bag on Fire, Ryan Fitzpatrick has kind of been the magic for you as far as points, although they haven't quite gotten over the 100 mark yet.
Until this week, we got the 110. So congratulations,
congratulations on that. We definitely want to mention that. Is it time to sell Fitzpatrick with Jameson coming back, or
Odo Beckham sits on that roster? That might be something somebody's looking for.
Another
trade babies.
I don't mean to say you should be selling at this point at 0-3, but maybe it's time to start making those deals, looking around, seeing if you can improve the roster, seeing if you can even get better for the future. Maybe you can get some kind of Joel trade going on.
Yeah, we're sitting there with 292 points at the end of this week's games is the lowest in the league. I mean, I guess he's trending a little bit upward, getting over the 100 mark for this year, but for this week. But outside of Odell Beckham, you don't see that. Evan Ingram heading to the hospital, nothing happening for him at running back. It could be a long year for the Pooh Bag.
It could be. We hope now. We hope he gets that win there, but just not next week when he takes on the Pimps. But again, Better takes this one. Congratulations, Chris. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
And that brings us to this week's Game of the Week between the Hammers and the Mighty Pimps. Not quite as close a game as Daddy Young, but maybe a little bit more at stake with the undefeated Pimps coming in, and they get knocked off. Probably the surprise of the week. The Hammers knock them off 145-137. Darren, let's get that first loss.
Well, again, like Tom said last week, it's always hard talking on camera after a loss. But congratulations, Ari. Putting up a number like 145, you're in most games, if not probably feeling like you're going to win that game. The Pimps gave it what they had. There was a lot of positions on my team that filled out. Adam Thielen, guys I would, Todd Gurley, guys I would expect to show up, showed up. For me, it was a little bit of decision at quarterback. I mean, Tom Brady for me is a play every week, so having Cam Newton, having Ben Roethlisberger on my bench, I just felt like Tom Brady coming off of a loss against Detroit on Sunday night was a given, but it wasn't. And since it wasn't, it obviously affected Gronk, and that was my ultimate demise. Everybody else pretty much showed up for me, but congratulations, Ari.
I think bright spot, if I'm the Pimps, you're sitting there, if you get a guy that scores 27 points on 14 catches, 100 some yards, and doesn't have a touchdown to get you that 27 mark, that bodes well in the future. That's a guy that is
Absolutely.
a security blanket for Kirk Cousins. He's looking for him a lot. I think that bodes well.
Absolutely.
Of course, having Gurley, I don't think you're in any trouble, so this isn't a pity party for you.
No.
What this is it shows you that Ari's going to probably be there most weeks. He's got a team, we think, that's going to be there, and he's Alvin Kamara is his linchpin. He's going to keep him there all the time. A little bit of a scare with Breida. We thought maybe he came out of the game for a couple of plays, but pretty consistent up and down the board. It's a good win. I mean, it's not a blowout. It was close.
I will say this, this puts Ari at 2-1, and just obviously I lost this week, so what do I know? But I could be wrong. But the quarterback position is something for Ari. You know, Russell Wilson, 19 points. Put up. I know he's going to get his rushes, but maybe just that one position that he changes could help the dynamic of his team. And by the way, you know, with Aaron Rodgers, he may have done that.
I feel a little bit of sarcasm there, but that takes us to our next segment this week. We have an interview. We like to call Yule Log. We have a special visitor stopping by. Well, we'd like to welcome to Log Jamming this week's guest, the owner of Who's Your Daddy, Tom Farrell.
Tom Farrell, thanks for joining the show. This is a segment we like to call Yule Log. We take a time to interview one of you fantasy managers from the League of Gentlemen. Tom happens to be a league champion. He sits at the champion table. He's definitely earned it. He's been in the league quite a while with us, so we're really excited to have him.
It's great to be here. It's amazing to see what goes on behind the scenes here. I'm really impressed.
High-tech stuff.
It is.
We're trying to get better each week, absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you. I want to open up. I mean, the big news of the week, you finally beat your child for the first time since he's been in the league. How's that feel?
It feels amazing. I kind of feel bad for Andrew. He's put up over 300 points the last 2 weeks and has absolutely nothing to show for it. Darren spanked him last week, and then I got the better of him this week. And I know he's throwing chairs right now. He did get a new puppy, so hopefully that calms him down a little bit, and he has something to bring his blood pressure down.
Well, I would like to say, you know, like with that father-son relationship, are there text messages that get sent back and forth through I mean, I know the league messages, I see the league messages, but I mean, are there back and forth messages at all to the son, whether they're encouraging or whether they're haha, or I mean, do you text outside of the thread?
No, all the communication regarding the league between Andrew and I is done in the thread. We want to be
For all to see.
For all to see, absolutely. The stuff that we talk about in our personal thread. He's so busy right now that I hardly see him.
Oh, sad news. Busy life and 1 and 2. It's a sad time for the part of the Farrell.
We did take note, those of us that are in other leagues, that Andrew isn't your only son, and we just had a question: which of them is your favorite?
It's definitely not Andrew. He was a troublesome child, and although if you look at the baby pictures, you'll never see a picture of Andrew and his mother from the time he was like 6 months old till the time he was about 3. They didn't want anything to do with each other. So all the pictures from that time period is, there's Andrew on Dad's lap, there's Andrew on Dad's shoulders, there's Andrew and Dad. So we do have that to look fondly back on.
Yeah, and that works out well for you. I know I've known you for a while, even outside of the league, and we've spent plenty of time when Andrew was very small at baseball games and other events, and he definitely does seem to be attached to your hip, whether it's Diamondback games or whatever it might be. So.
Absolutely. He's I'm proud of all my boys, and in particular Andrew for the growth that he's gone through.
And the championship, you guys each have won.
He's a champion.
You guys each have one. Is there a race to 2? Is there any trash talk between family for who gets the second first?
I don't think that he has any aspirations of a second championship. I think he feels very very grateful that he's gotten the one, and I think he can go to his grave with the one championship, and he'd be completely happy. It brings to mind, Joel. He just had a new child, and
Congratulations again, Joel.
Who will get the first championship in that family? Will it be Joel, or will it be
when he bequeaths the Zorros?
That might be our Clase Azul shot of the week.
Shot of the week, Joel.
Well, with that win, brings you to 2-1. How do you feel about the rest of your season?
I'm optimistic. I really am. I was a little nervous about the decision to trade Todd Gurley to Darren, but I did want Saquon Barkley, and I really liked what I've seen out of him so far in an offense that isn't that dynamic. He's still putting up solid numbers week to week, and he's getting him on the ground and catching passes, so I'm very excited about that. Michael Thomas as a 9th round keeper is going to be a staple on my team for years to come in that offense, as long as Drew Brees is throwing in the ball. I'm a little nervous about David Johnson, 8th round keeper, but so far this Cardinal offense has just been anemic, and there's got to be some questions about Mike McCoy as a play caller, don't you think?
I think I saw a stat that the Cardinals are on pace to run 100 less plays than the Leafs team last year. They're just way below average, not scoring, not running an offense. It's been a rough year for the Cards.
Yeah, and with him and Larry Fitzgerald, who was part of the reason I traded Gurley to use to have a second first-round pick so that I could get Larry on my team. That's definitely worrisome, so that's probably the thing that keeps me up at night the most.
Absolutely. A lot of 2-1 teams in the league this year. I think we saw 7 going into the standings tomorrow.
It's amazing. 7 2-1 teams, 2 0-3 teams. Tom and I were talking earlier, it could be a situation where it's just a war of attrition, and we could have other than the Pimps, who seem to be the class of the league at this point, there could be a bunch of teams in that 5 to 6 win range, and maybe we see a team with 5 wins make the playoffs this year.
It'd be a statistical outlier, but there's a very good chance of a logjam at 7-6, 6-7. You know,
Which
maybe
we've seen
a handful of 8
multiple
5
years.
teams. Yeah, it feels like that's where we're headed this year.
I agree. I absolutely agree. If you look at the point totals from 2 to 7, there's only a spread of like 70 points, which isn't a lot in 3 weeks. Fury is just mind-boggling that Fury is 2-1, although he has the benefit of facing the least points against this year.
But another soft game next week for the Fury. You know, he's got the Sid next week, but then a soft couple of weeks after that. You could see a couple more wins out of the Fury with Pat Mahomes leading that offense.
Yeah, surprising.
Have a lot of things.
Surprising. It might be a lot of crow for a lot of us to eat.
I'm going to do my draft from Vegas next year.
But before we do get out of here, let me ask you one more thing. Next week you take on the Avengers.
Yes.
It's rare that we get a chance where the mashup fits the interview. So I would just like to say, you know, with the Saquon Barkley, with the Michael Thomas, Tom's got a team with Ezekiel and Julio Jones. He matches up very well against you. Are you willing to throw out any kind of prediction or trash talk, or are we just going to keep it real clean?
I haven't dove into the matchups for next week. I didn't like my matchups this week. Tom and I met early Sunday morning to watch the early games, and I told him outright that I wasn't a fan of my matchups this week, but I was able to prevail. I think I have enough talent on my team that it's going to be a competitive matchup. I expect a close battle, probably within 10 points.
Very Bill Belichick, this guy. Very Bill Belichick. Tom, before we go, anything that you would like to throw out?
That's what I got, man. I just hope for a fair matchup. Hope nobody gets hurt, and we'll see you at the end of next week.
Hey, let's meet on Sunday morning. We can each wear our Team Farrell shirts.
Not gonna happen.
Thanks for joining us, man. Good
It's
luck
my
this
pleasure.
year.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
So that wraps up week 3. What do you see moving forward, D?
Well, there's going to be a lot of good matchups next week. I'm really looking forward to the Young and Hammers matchup, just to kind of put those two teams maybe where they're going to finish and where they belong. I'm also looking forward to the Daddy's Avengers matchup. That should be a real good one.
Yeah, a couple of top of the standings matchups. Pimps, looking forward to Pooh. Poway has Zorros. You know, they're going to try to get themselves to 3-1 and try to stay ahead of that league. The way the standings sit right now, at 2-1, Fury is out of the playoffs. At 1-2, Young is out of the playoffs, but holds a tiebreaker against 3 teams ahead of him. I think we're looking forward to a fantastic season.
Yeah, it should be a good middle of the season. Good luck to all you guys.
Absolutely. We'd like to thank Tom Farrell for stopping by tonight. I'd like to thank
Yeah.
Mike Hill for joining us behind the camera and some little IT work. And we'll catch you guys next week on The Logjam.
Thanks for watching the podcast, bro.
What's your name? What's your name? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
I can't. I really can't. They wanted me to do this on air because I needed a. All right, let's take a step back. It has to be the Aaron Rodgers thing. If we go tight, Aaron Rodgers for a first and a second is crazy. I mean, you get his keepers. It's crazy. Aaron Rodgers with one leg for a first, second, and sixth is ridiculous. Anyone would be crazy. So let's look at the tight ends again. Jared Cook, Travis Kelce. I mean, is there any, like, do we just need a tight end? So we swap tight ends. We swap the fact that a guy, Jared Cook, the highest scoring tight end in the fucking league. Let me tell you something. Last week, 4 grabs, fucking 30 yards. The week before that, garbage. The week before that, he blew up, but that was a planned scheme that week. We're talking about Derek Carr throwing the ball. All right? You give up Travis Kelce in the offense with Patrick Mahomes and it's scoring 40 points a game. You downgrade, and in addition to that, you ship out a first, a second. I want this marked down on a calendar. Demise of the Hammers. This is the trade and the moment.
It happens almost every year.
No other championships. I mean, no other championship. You can't give away a first, a second, a sixth. What the fuck? What are you going to keep? Jared Cook? What round is Jared Cook kept in? Let's look that up. Oh, he's 17th round keeper.
It was a waiver wire pickup, so you're going to have to bid on him.
Ooh, he's going to get bid up to the second round. It's Jared fucking Cook. You kidding me? What round is Travis Kelce? Do we have that technology anymore? Do we have that information? Was he a keeper? Yes, of course he was a keeper. He's probably a 7th round keeper.
Maybe
So we gave
third or fourth.
I'll go with third just for the argument. 3rd round keeper Travis Kelce. Gronk's dead. Okay, Gronk's gonna die. We're talking about the bet with Patrick Mahomes. Has anybody watched the Kansas City Chiefs? Do you know who Patrick Mahomes is now? We've been telling you. Anyway, Patrick Mahomes now, and you're gonna go with this guy. You're gonna go with Derek Carr for the future. Okay, so you don't keep him. You'll probably draft somebody in the 1st or 2nd round valuable. No, you won't, because you don't got a fucking pick. Hey, you got a one-legged quarterback with a brace the size of fucking California? I'm in. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a 1st, a 2nd, a fucking tooth. This is unbelievable. The value of Aaron Rodgers is unbelievable. It's got to be the keeper status, right, Ari? It's got to be the keeper status. What is he, a 17th round pick? 16th round pick. God, Lord knows what you'd find in the first 15 rounds. I mean, maybe Patrick Mahomes, maybe. But no, you got Aaron Rodgers, ACL surgery next year. He'll be out probably when they figure out what's going on and they can't fucking make the playoffs.
Get Jared Cook.
But you got Jared Cook to back it up. I mean, what's that gonna, what that's gonna bring a fucking felony, waiver wire by week fucking 9? This is unbelievable. Joel, love you. All right, cut.